Chào mừng quý vị và các bạn đến với chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh FBNC. Và vị khách mời của chúng ta ngày hôm nay là tiến sĩ Zenger Folkman. Ông là chủ tịch của Zenger Folkman, là một trung tâm về phát triển năng lực lãnh đạo toàn cầu. Và chúng tôi rất vinh dự được mời ông đến trường quay FBNC ngày hôm nay để có một cuộc trò chuyện thẳng thắn về chủ đề kỹ năng lãnh đạo, leadership.
Tiến sĩ Zenger Folkman là đồng sáng lập viên và là chủ tịch của Zenger Folkman, một công ty sử dụng phương pháp dựa trên các bằng chứng khoa học và phát triển điểm mạnh nhằm cải thiện tổ chức và con người. Tiến sĩ Zenger cũng là diễn giả chính tại các hội thảo chuyên đề và hội nghị trên khắp thế giới về các chủ đề liên quan đến phát triển năng lực lãnh đạo. Là một trong những nhà tâm lý lượng học nổi tiếng tại Hoa Kỳ, ông có trên 30 năm kinh nghiệm tư vấn cho những tổ chức nổi tiếng và thành công trên thế giới với công cụ đánh giá 360 độ, được thiết kế trên cơ sở nguồn cơ sở dữ liệu từ hơn 500.000 bài đánh giá từ gần 50.000 nhà lãnh đạo. Ông cũng là tác giả hoặc đồng tác giả của các cuốn sách bán chạy nhất thế giới về nghệ thuật lãnh đạo như Làm thế nào để trở nên kiệt xuất, Sức mạnh của thông tin phản hồi, Biến lãnh đạo tốt thành lãnh đạo kiệt xuất, vân vân.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to Vietnam.
Thank you
so much.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Good to see you. So you've been talking to a lot of people, a lot of leaders around the world about leadership. So what fascinated you about leadership in this 21st century?
What is interesting is the difference it makes. I was with a group yesterday and I said, have you ever worked for a bad boss?
All right. Well,
people said, and what was it like?
Yeah.
And people say, gosh, I hated my job. I didn't want to be there. I was discouraged. I was frustrated. Bad boss really has a tremendous impact. But then you say, have you ever worked for a great boss? And all the difference that makes. And so what I think we've all experienced in our life is the impact of a great leader.
Yeah, a lot of people quit their job because of the bad boss.
Yeah, we don't quit companies.
Quit the boss.
We quit the boss.
So if you say that, then what makes a great boss?
Well, we got interested in that notion, and we, for about 25 years, we had given people feedback, and we said, find out, what the negative thing is. Find out what the problem is with you. Kind of figure out why you're such a loser.
All right. How did you find that out?
Well, the data shows you, but when we'd give people feedback, they'd always go to the negative, right? When we looked at really good leaders, what we found is it wasn't the absence of weakness that made them great. It was the presence of strengths. They stood out about something. They were really good at a few things. And our intuition is to be a great leader, you'd need to be perfect. But we found if people were good at three things.
What is it?
Well, it turns out it's any three things. It's any three competencies that are valued, right? Your three really help you to be effective. My three are different. But when we put the two together, we get a really great team.
But when you observe a lot of leaders that you provide consultations and coaching or training, what is your favorite three characteristics of a great leader?
I don't know. Because they've got to fit you. One of the things
it depends, yeah.
Well, and we found that if I ask you to do something and I said, well, it's this, and you go, I don't like that much. Guess what? It's hard for you to, well, you can become okay at it, but to become great, you need passion. And so what we try to do is get people to connect with their passion, right?
Well, that's hard to do, yeah.
Yeah. But then you also have to think about what the organization needs. I'm really passionate about playing tennis. Well, the organization doesn't need that, right? And so what are you passionate about that the organization needs? And when you can figure that out, you can really make a contribution as a leader. Some of the competencies that are really difficult to develop are things like inspiring and motivating others. It's a tough competency to learn.
Then as a leaders, how do you motivate and how do you inspire others to share the same dream with you or the same passion?
We started to uncover the secrets there. What we did is we looked at thousands of leaders who were really good at inspiring. And we found that there were some enabling behaviors. So, for instance, one of the enabling behaviors about inspiring was making an emotional connection.
Emotional connection with the employees, with the
everybody?
Well,
if you think about it, every day you pass by, look at, come to, or have meetings with, 100 people? You can make a positive connection, neutral, negative connection. But if you think in your mind that every connection counts, every interaction counts, and can I make them positive? Can I create that positive feeling? You ever walk by somebody and they go, "Great to see you," and it's, wow, that was, or somebody just ignores you and it's like, oh, wonder what I did. Make positive emotional connections. We actually looked at some research on what it takes to, what the influence of having a friend that's happy. Turns out if you have a friend that's happy, the probability that you'll be more happy goes up by 25%.
Okay.
Well, if happiness of your friends affects you, how much more does the boss's emotions affect the team?
Well, yeah, but if you are a leader, you are a boss, and if you get too close to your employees or, you know, be friend with them, do you lose any authority, power?
Well, I think you gain as much as you could ever lose. I mean, you think about places where you've really dug in and done more and went the extra mile. Did you do it for somebody that you didn't have a relationship with? Did you do that kind of thing for somebody? I mean, this fear of if I get close, then their performance will go down. I think it's the opposite. I mean, if it does, I would fire those people immediately because they're kind of gold diggers. But I think that the people we work hardest for are the people we appreciate, we care about. When you don't want to disappoint your boss, that's because you really like your boss, I think.
You shouldn't be scared of your boss, but instead of you like them,
well, respect them.
Lovable, the boss must be lovable.
Well, and maybe not lovable, but respected.
I'm going to go back to what you mentioned before in terms of the strength-based leadership when you were talking about focusing on the strength instead of fixing the weaknesses.
Right.
Could you kind of elaborate on that? Because, so are you saying leaders, if you have strength and weaknesses, you try to focus just on the strength and you just don't, ever concerned about weaknesses? Well,
we found that as we looked at leaders, there's a difference between a weakness and something we call a fatal flaw.
Okay.
Okay. So I asked a group last week, how many of you think you have a weakness? Every hand went up.
Everybody
right?
has.
Yeah,
Man.
everybody has. But then I said, there's a difference between a weakness and a fatal flaw. And then we said, think about the worst leaders you've ever worked with. What was the weakness? They were unethical, they didn't care, it's all about them, right? What happens if you have a fatal flaw is we do think you need to fix it. Now, you don't turn it into a profound strength, but you move it up and you make it like less noticeable. And we did a Harvard Business School blog. We do a Harvard blog about every 2 weeks. A few years ago, and the topic was, can poor leaders change their spots?
Okay.
And we looked at data and found that leaders who were poor at the 20th percentile, 18 months later moved to the 50th percentile by working on fixing their weakness. But only 20% of leaders have fatal flaws.
Okay.
So 80% of leaders, we think they're better off focusing on what makes you stand out, what separates you from others. The interesting learning here. And so what we find is, here's some really good news for everyone. You don't have to be perfect to be a great leader.
Okay, but how do you find out if you have any fatal flaws?
Well, here's the thing. Most of the time, people's own intuition is wrong, right?
Okay.
In fact, we looked at your ability to predict your strengths and weaknesses versus any other rater, boss, peer, direct report, others. And others are twice as accurate at predicting what you're good at and bad at than you are.
Okay, so you listen to others.
You really need to, and what we do, and Lay and Associates here, they're our strategic partner in Vietnam. We have a process where people can get feedback from the best people that know you well.
All right.
Your boss, your peers, your direct reports. It's anonymous.
Okay.
And what we found is, surprisingly, people are really bold.
Wow, when you're anonymous.
When it's anonymous,
Yeah.
because they tend to sort of tell you what they think. And actually, I've been surprised. They're kind of tough raiders. So you get feedback, and what we found is that here in Vietnam, we have some great leaders. Leaders.
All right.
And
I'm going to go back to that after a short break. Thank you so much for sharing. Thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của tiến sĩ Joe Folkman, là chủ tịch của Zenger Folkman, là một trung tâm về phát triển năng lực lãnh đạo toàn cầu. Chúng tôi sẽ còn quay trở lại trong phần tiếp theo với câu chuyện về kỹ năng lãnh đạo.